Hello everyone, this is BigManBakar. I will be taking your questions before the Gameweek 25 deadline. So as you know, on the RotoWire YouTube channel, we're doing these weekly streams before the deadline where I answer all your questions, I answer all the popular dilemmas, and address pretty much everything to the best of my ability. So there's a lot to talk about this week, especially given the fact that A, it's a Friday deadline, and B, because Bukayo Saka, who's quite popular, he got injured. And then there was some doubt over Timber as well. So a lot of talking points. Some people have activated the wild card. Some people are planning to triple captain next week. So all in all, this should make for quite an engaging discussion. If you have any questions for the game week, please start sending them in immediately. I will be with you for the next half an hour, and I will try and answer all the questions as they come in. I will start by some of the biggest talking points this week. And I will start with the Saka replacements. Sachin is saying, "What is up, bro? Hey, Sachin, nice to see you." Next question is João Pedro a must own? Uh, I don't think so. I don't think so. So I currently have Thiago in my team, and I am avoiding João Pedro, not because I think that he won't do well, but mainly because I don't think that Thiago is worth selling at this point. I think that Newcastle are quite tired. I won't be surprised if Brentford won against Newcastle, even though Newcastle are like really strong at home. But I'm not ruling out a Thiago return in that fixture. And I feel as if it's not worth selling him right now just to be buying him back by game week 27 or 28 because Brentford's fixtures from 27 are really, really strong. So I don't think I would make two transfers to sell Thiago and then bring him back immediately. Um, David is saying, "Hey, big man, with the timber use, will you advise going for him now?" Well, as I stepped in, I haven't. I just read that there was this comment that he's fine. I haven't read all the quotes. If you could share with me, that would be great. But from what I have read, Arteta said that he's fine. Now I will have to assess and have a look at some of the predicted lineups to see the likelihood of him starting because I think I find myself in a position as well where because I have four free transfers, I can go for Timber, or alternatively, I can go for Rice. But the Timber transfer will involve two transfers, and the Rice one would be just the one move. So it is quite a tricky one for me this week, and I think it will be a call that I take later. But what this tells me at least is that people who have Timber just hold on to him and keep him. Because I saw a few people panicking who owned Timber as to whether they wanted to sell him, and I don't think that is the way to go. I think if I had Timber, I would definitely keep him. But yeah, I think yesterday was pretty much a case of load management for him because he just played a lot of minutes. Exactly, that's the comment, David. Thank you for sharing. That's the comment. Arteta said that he's fine, and I would imagine that yesterday he missed the training session because his load was being managed. And I personally think he will start against Sunderland. Whether that prediction of mine or that assessment of mine is strong enough to warrant the use of an extra free transfer is something that I need to weigh up. Sachin is saying my current strategy is Senesi in 27, Collins for shot in 28, triple captain captain 26, Varga 32, BB 33, free hit 34. Yes, exactly. That is very similar to what I'm planning as well. I think I will absolutely be wildcarding in 32 to set myself up for the bench boost in double game week 33. So for the benefit of the listeners who don't know, game week 33 is going to be a double game week and 34 is going to be a blank game week. So blank in the blank game week you can free hit in 34, and in the double game week you can bench boost in 33, and you can plan your wildcard in a way to optimize these chips across the blanks and doubles. So I completely agree with that strategy. The strategy which I'm not as sure on from the ones you mentioned, Sachin, is the triple captain in 26. I have to weigh up whether City could double in 36, what the likelihood of that is. I've spoken to a few predictors, and I think it's close to 50 to 60%. So I will have to decide whether I triple captain Gabriel in 26 or leave it for later. I think that is a decision that I will make next deadline. And I don't think I'd be buying Senesi personally. I think Collins and Shot and 27, 28 is really strong given the fixtures of Brentford. Next question is from Shishir, one free transfer option, one Saka to Rice, Saka to Mbomo, and Dia to Rice -4, Saka to Mbomo. What would be the best big man? I think that depends on your team, to be very honest. I don't think I would be taking a hit for Mbomo and Rice, if that's what you're trying to ask. I don't think I'd be selling India for a hit for sure. So I would rule option 2 out. Option 3 could be doable, where you can go for Mbomo now, and next week you can go for Timber. I think I like that much more than option 2. So I think you have to choose between option 1 and 3, really. I think maybe 1 may be safest because it gives you an Arsenal asset for Sunderland and a guaranteed starter. But it's tough. It's sort of very similar to what I'm weighing up for my team, because I'm weighing up Mbomo and Timber for my team as well, as opposed to Rice. And I think that's the decision I have to make as well. David is asking him, it got 2 free transfers and a midfield of Enzo, Rice, Bruno, Wilson, Anderson, value to Adam Wilson. Opinions on Anderson to Mbomo, or won't go without him? Anderson is exceptional value. I mean, I don't know why you would want to sell. I know Mbomo is nice, but Elliot Anderson is just a comfortable hold for a while at his price. He allows for a lot of upgrades across the rest of the squad. He is by far the best midfielder for DEFCONs, and as we saw in the previous week, he got 3 bonus points as well in a game which was 1-1, and he had no attacking returns in that game. So, yeah, I don't think I would be selling Elliot Anderson. I think, in fact, I'm looking forward to the game tonight, so that I'm in a position where I can be counting his DEFCONs, really. So, yeah, keep Elliot Anderson. Sachin is saying, thanks as always for your thoughts. My pleasure, Sachin. Thank you very much. Next question is, hey, big man, who would you bench, Alderete or Gehi? I think I would bench Alderete of the two. Ideally, I would bench both. I think both will concede, and I don't think both will do well this week. But I would maybe play Gehi because I suspect that he is a better option for DEFCONs. Steve is asking, I've got 1 Arsenal, I need 2 more, and only cash cows are Ekitike and Beaumont and Thiago, tight funds. I know Ekitike is the one, but I'm torn having to sell him for the run coming. I don't think I would be selling Mbomo. I don't think I would be selling Thiago. I think if you need to make the funds, you have to sell Ekitike. And I hear you when you say that he's an uncomfortable sell ahead of the fixtures, but I think having 3 Arsenal, or having the correct 3 Arsenal in place, is much more of a priority than owning Ekitike personally. Krusty is asking, hello mate, I've got 1 FT. My team is this wildcard. From an initial glance, I think your team is perfectly fine. It's relatively similar to mine. I think we have 3 to 4 differences, but this team is not even close to wildcard. I think you wildcard in 32. We discussed about the benefits of a wildcard like 5 or 6 minutes ago, where we said that wildcarding in 32 can help you optimize the blanks and doubles around it. So I don't think I would be wildcarding that team. Sachin is saying Senesi and Collins are my replacements of Keane and Dalot. Really need to sort that defense out. Who do you think, if not Senesi, in 27? Do you have Hakim Anderson? I think he could be quite useful because Fulham have a good run of home fixtures to come. And I think the most important thing about Hakim Anderson is that in 31, which is going to be the blank game week, where Arsenal and City are going to be blanking. So a lot of us will need our substitutes to come in. Fulham are playing at home to Burnley. So that's why I like Joaquin Anderson a lot more than Senesi. Next question is, hello, who do I sell for Timber, Tarkowski or O'Reilly, or wait and buy Timber next week? I think you can sell O'Reilly if you want. I think O'Reilly is quite expendable. David is saying, big man, who's more of a sell between Mukiele and Hall? I'm leaning towards Hall, but the fixtures both are not really good FPL-wise. What do you think? I have both, and I think I'm going to be selling Hall because Mukiele is much cheaper and Mukiele can be hidden on the bench. I think out of all the fixtures that Newcastle have, this is by far the best, home to Brentford this week. And even if I keep Hall and play him, I'm not expecting much from him because I'm expecting Brentford to score. And at that price, I would rather not have an asset who I don't expect to perform well. At least with Mukiele, I can just easily bench him. Sachin is saying, I have Anderson. Others I have are Gabriel Mukiele, Keane, Dalot. Yeah, I mean, I would look at Virgil in that case. I think Virgil is a really, really nice player to have for the Liverpool run-in from Game Week 26 onwards. So, yeah, I'd look at somehow getting Virgil in over Senesi. Next question is, if you haven't covered this yet, versus Mbomo for the picture on Game Week 32. I think I would go with Mbomo. He's playing as a central striker. I think his minutes are slightly better as well. And the fixtures are comparable, I guess, but I feel slightly more comfortable with Mbomo because I look at him as more of a long-term hold than Wirtz potentially. Next question is, hey Bucker, I have Bruno, Haaland, and Palmer. Who would you captain? I am tempted to go for CP. I don't think I would be going for Cole Palmer, even though I expect him to start. Wolves has actually improved defensively. I don't think Wolves at home are as bad a fixture as they were, let's say, 2 months ago. So I think I would go with Bruno. I'm going with Bruno myself. And in fact, I think that if I was picking a vice captain this week, it would be Gabriel. So I'm surprised you didn't mention Gabriel in the conversation because I think Gabriel is the second best captaincy shout this week out of the options available. Next question is, do you think it's worth getting Trossard, Martinelli, Havertz in place of Rice? No, I don't think so. I think Rice is just clear for minutes. And if you're looking at a double game week and if you're looking at Sunderland at home this week, which is probably the best fixture on the slate right now, I think I would just go with the guy who's going to get the most number of minutes. Sachin is saying, good suggestion. Thank you. My pleasure. David is saying, actually true. Thanks. Always very logical decisions. I do my best. Thank you. Steve is saying, upgrade Szoboszlai or KDH to Rice. First option leaves me option to get Munoz or Sar next game week. Upgrading KDH gives me better mid in general, but limits options to Sar. It is tough. I think Szoboszlai could be worth keeping. I don't mind keeping him in the right back role personally because he's going to get DEFCONs, and if he's averaging 4 or 5 points every game, I don't mind that personally. So I would sell KDH for Rice if that's your decision. Sishir is saying play Rodon to Nottingham Forest or Lewis Hall. I think I would probably go with Lewis Hall. I expect Nottingham Forest to score as well. Easier one, Steve is saying easier one, start Kelly or Dubravka. I think that's a tougher one actually because it's more of a coin flip. Maybe go to Dubravka for the saves, I think. I think that Brentford will probably concede to Newcastle. James is saying thoughts on Timber versus Rise now with the Arteta update. I think I discussed this a bit earlier. If you go a bit earlier in the video, I discussed it. I think ultimately, because I think it's quite a common dilemma this week, and I would just like to touch a bit more upon it. Ultimately, it comes down to the number of transfers that you have. So, for example, I have 4 free transfers, so I can entertain the idea of maybe using an additional transfer on Timber. For example, if you had just the 1 free transfer, I think I would have gone Rice. But if you have multiple free transfers, then this is more of a debate. And I assume that you're asking this question because you are in that position. I think if you have, let's say, a very good defense, then I think Timber might not be needed, and maybe you need to use that transfer in attack. But if your defense is weak and you feel as if you could do the defensive transfer, then I think Timber makes more sense. Next question is from Life. How difficult would it be to catch up on a leader in a mid-league who's 100 points ahead right now? We are both pretty temperate matches. When do I go rogue eventually? I think 100 for a guy who is well-informed, assuming that your rival is well-informed, like you're saying, I think 100 would be very tough, personally. I think maybe 70 to 75 is a bit more realistic. But you never know. I think what it will eventually come down to is your chip strategy and how you nail it, really, because that in the double game weeks, I don't think it's a huge problem cutting down a lead of 70 to 80 points. I think that sort of lead can go away in a few weeks' time. So if you can sort of get him to 70, 75 points by the time you wildcard, I think you will have a real chance. Zubimendi, good pick. Can't do Rice and Timber both. I don't think I would get Zubimendi. I don't think he has any attacking threat, and the minutes maybe slightly questionable as well. Steve is saying, I also thought they would concede against Villa, but I know Burnley will concede, and I believe this game week Kelleher could also get some save points. I think Dubravka will also get save points. I doubt that he doesn't. James is saying, my team absolutely honks in 4 FT, so yeah, Timber lol. Yeah, if your defense honks, then you go Timber. I think that is probably the way for you to go. But at the same time, I think you need to be mentally prepared for him to miss out this week. I won't be totally surprised to see Ben White start. That's sort of the only sort of thing in my head. Keep sending in your questions, guys. I will try and answer them to the best of my ability. Already like 15 minutes have passed by in an absolute jiffy. So I'll be here for another 15 minutes, I guess. So if you have any questions, keep sending them over. We've discussed captaincy. We've discussed Timber versus Rice. I think Saka replacements is also that if you don't own Rice, maybe it's him. If you want to go triple defense, it's Mbomo. I think that sort of question is interlinked with the Timber and Rice dilemma. I think Enzo is also a shout for people who don't own him, by the way. I keep forgetting about Enzo. Enzo is someone I own, and the fixtures are really nice, the next three fixtures. And I think Palmer will maybe rest in one of the next three fixtures, which would give Enzo the opportunity to play as a number 10, and he could be on pens as well. Next question is from Ryan. Had two free transfers done. Hall to Timber. Should I swap Minte on my bench for Rice or hold my transfer for next week? I think if you have two free transfers and you still have one free transfer remaining, I would swap Minte for Rice. I think so. I think if you have the opportunity to go for three Arsenal, I absolutely would with free transfers. I can go Timber, or I would the upside risk getting Timber after that at a comment. I think so. Yes. David is saying, please like the video, mates. Yes, that would be of huge help. Anyone who likes the video, subscribe to the channel, or if you leave any comments down the video below, all these sort of things are massively appreciated, and they go a long way in helping us grow. Any further questions, guys? I think we're done with some of them, some of the bigger ones. I would like to touch a bit more on some of the dilemmas I am faced with, or some of the dilemmas I've been sent by people in a bit. Before that, I would like to take Krusty's question. The only way I can get Rice is by selling Sabosla, Garner, Wilson, Fernandez, Enzo, Sabosla. What do you think? Why don't you sell Garner, for example, or Wilson even? Asim is saying thoughts on Bowen for the next three and switch Ekitike once the fictions prove. Yes, I love Bowen as a pick. I think the fact that now he's on pens is big with Paqueta gone, and the fixture against Burnley is as good as it gets, really. I would expect West Ham to score there, and of course, that would be massive. We are here to help you bring your team. I don't know, man. I feel as if it will eventually come down to my risk appetite, whether I want to use two free transfers to get Timber. I think going Timber allows me to get Mbomo, and I like Mbomo a lot. I also think that Timber is a superior pick than Rice if both are playing, but that's a big if. And that is the only reason why I'm going for Rice instead. If I knew that Timber was starting Sunderland, I would go with the double transfer in a heartbeat. I don't think that would be a dilemma for me. And I am totally fine going with triple Arsenal defense. I see a lot of people who don't want to go there, or they think it's too risky to have triple defense. I would disagree over there because a lot of managers, pretty much every manager worth his salt, will have two Arsenal defenders in Gameweek 26, double Gameweek 26. Whether that's Timber, Gabriel, Raya, people will have two of the three minimum. So it's effectively one extra guy I'm getting. So if I'm getting one extra guy, what is the issue? I don't understand the issue if I'm getting just one extra Arsenal defender. That too from the best defense in the league, especially with the fixtures they have now. Krusty saying only got one free transfer this week. Should I wait next week and sell Ekitike or Riley? I think it comes down to your team, really. I don't know what your team is and whether or not you can get, let's say, someone like a Timber in your defense, or whether you need to be using that transfer in midfield. Dan is saying start KDs or Sabosla. I would start Sabosla for sure. Who is the better pick, Keane or Van Hecke this game week? Van Hecke, I don't even think Keane starts because Mykolenko is pictured in training, and the only reason Keane started last week was because Mykolenko was injured. But with Mykolenko back, I would expect Mykolenko to be the left back and Branthwaite to be the centre back. So yeah, I don't think that Keane is a realistic option anymore. Steve is saying you have 4 or 5 free transfers. I have 4 free transfers. Yes, I would not be forcing any self to hold one if I knew it was a better option. I don't know if it's the better option. I mean, there is no way of finding out whether Timber is starting, right? If there was, I would absolutely do it with more conviction. FPL Hawk is saying worth a hit to do Palmer to Bruno or a hit for Enzo and Mbomo, who can always wait till the deadline. I don't think I would sell Palmer for a hit, but you don't have Bruno. I mean, I'm surprised at that. I think Bruno should have been a priority last week. Even this week, that tells me that you use your transfer elsewhere, and I don't like those transfers that you've made. Palmer to Bruno for a hit. I do think Bruno is essential. Do you have a route to Bruno next week, or will you have to take a hit for him next week anyway? If you are in a position where you will have to take a hit for him next week anyway, you might as well do it this week. Triple Arsenal defense and triple captain is the nuttiest thing I would ever thought any other year. Would it be just too much risk. Um, I think the triple captaincy may be more of a debate because if let's say someone like a Haaland is an option 36, then maybe I defer that option of triple captain Gabriel. But um, I don't think triple Arsenal defense is nutty in any sense really because they're clearly the best defense in the league at the moment. Such as saying Bruno is not on my team only during this hammy injury this week. Not having Bruno is insanity. Yeah, I mean Bruno has to be essential at this point. I'm very surprised that there's someone who doesn't have him, and I think if you don't own him, you just correct that mistake immediately and get him. Not only is he's the best captain this week, he just has too many routes to points, and United under Carragher are playing quite well. Next question is play Elliot Anderson or Krupi Jr. I would play Elliot Anderson. He has a higher floor. Krupi Jr. is someone, even though he scored last week, he got like 67 minutes, and before that was 65 minutes. So his minutes are a constant issue, early subs rather. So Elliot Anderson is the better one to play. Still haven't got Gabriel. Who do you sell? Evan Nelson, Cunha, words to fund him. I don't know the rest of your team really. You could have a better route. Next question is I agree Arsenal is a better defense, but that doesn't mean the defenders are better FPL assets. Cheaper DEFCON players are better than Saliba, for example. Yes, but Saliba is not someone I would include as part of the optimal best Arsenal three defenders, right? Where when I mentioned the three optimal three, or when I mention triple Arsenal defense, that effectively means Raya, Timber, and Gabriel. That does not include Saliba because Saliba does not get DEFCONs and he's not as much of a goal threat, and he has picked up the occasional legal time and again this season. So I don't consider Saliba as a realistic option. Steve is saying, and have outscore or could outscore Timber if no attacking returns from him. Raya is suboptimal except for the double. I don't think he's suboptimal. I think he is quite a comfortable set and forget for the season. And I have owned him for a while, and I think he's one of my favorite players to own. Next question is by when do you think we'll know if there would be a third double game week after game week 33? I think we will get more information as we head later on in the season, something like maybe 31 or 30. I think I would assume this to be handed out to us by game week 31. Big up, BigManBakar. Thank you very much for the kind words. I will be here for another 5 minutes, guys. So once you get done with your questions, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Last 5 minutes, guys. If you have any comments, any questions, make sure to send them in immediately. In the meanwhile, I would also like to address Szoboszlai. I think he's fine as a right back. I mean, he sort of reminds me of a bit like Trent in the sense that he's a defender who has some sort of attacking threat from the right hand side, and he's basically a Trent without clean sheet points, but with DEFCON potential, if you know what I'm saying. Rian is saying thoughts on the Man City defense and start O'Reilly Van Hecke this week. I would start Van Hecke. The City defense is a complete wreck at this point in time. I don't rate that defense at all, and I would expect Liverpool to have a field day this week. I would genuinely expect Liverpool to win. Sachin is saying, waiting for a Tavernier celebration video when Bruno scores that hat-trick against Spurs this weekend. I don't think it would be as let's say, passionate because that week Tavernier was 3% owned at my rank, and Bruno is effectively going to be captained by pretty much every engaged manager this week. So I even if he scores a hat trick, it's one of those things which I won't bother too much about. I mean, those sort of celebrations come out when either I have a differential who performs well or doesn't, and then that does sort of bring out the emotions really. So on Szoboszlai, I've touched a bit upon him. I would now touch on Virgil. I think Virgil can be benched this week, and the fixtures after this week are really nice. And for people who don't own, I think Virgil in 26 would be actually a good transfer in. I know he hasn't done much this season. He's been a bitter disappointment, but his DEFCONs are improving now that Salah's back in the side. I've noticed this trend where whenever Salah's in the team, Virgil's DEFCONs go up, and when he's not in the team, the DEFCONs go down. And Liverpool are actually second for XG conceded this season. So their underlying data is quite good, but they seem to be conceding the odd goal pretty much in every game. But still, Virgil is okay to hold or buy from next week onwards. JD sent me his team. Who do you sell to fund Gabriel? I would sell O'Reilly to fund Gabriel, yes. And from that team, I would sell O'Reilly for sure. Salah's presence itself boosted Liverpool. He's not playing great, but Liverpool look like a new team. Yes, they're playing much better, and I would expect their defense and their results to improve significantly in the times to come. I expect them to win this week as well. Maybe they'll concede, but they will probably win. So that's Virgil done. That's Szoboszlai done. That's Enzo addressed. We've talked at length about Arsenal. Am I missing something? Let me go through some of my notes. Madueke is someone, I don't think Madueke is a realistic option. He only played 60 minutes when Saka was out, and so his minutes are just not good enough, really. Wolves players for the double, I don't think I would prefer bringing in Wolves players. It just feels a bit too short term and not worth spending extra transfers on when there are other alternatives available. We've touched on captaincy, we've touched on Palmer, we've touched on Thiago de João Pedro. We've touched on Joaquin Anderson as being one of the best non-Arsenal defenders to buy this week. Wildcard we've discussed. I think I've pretty much gone through most of the things that were worth discussing this week. Is Virgil a must for 26 or can wait till 27? I think if you can get to him in 26, I think you can get him. JD saying, I've only got 0.5 in the bank and I would need to sell someone else in O'Reilly as well. I assume you have just the one free transfer, right? If you have just the one free transfer, I think I would wait. Rob is saying, I just sold O'Reilly to Munoz. I suddenly remembered I played this game for fun. I think Munoz is actually a really good player. We haven't talked about him in this video because the fixture away to Brighton this week is not ideal. But from next week onwards, he's playing Burnley at home and Wolves at home. And I feel as if next week's discussion will be centered around Palace's players because their fixtures are so good. So I like the Munoz pick. And I might even go for him myself. Let's say if I get Rice and don't get Timber. Next question is Rice's data is better than Madueke per 90, and he actually plays 90. Yes, exactly. Start Senesi or Krupi. I think I would start Senesi probably. JD is saying got 3 FTs. Oh, if you have 3 FTs, you can potentially find a route. Yeah, maybe you just sell. I was going to say sell Evan Nelson, but I think because you have King and you have a dead spot in midfield, I don't think I would sell Evan Nelson. So it has to be one of Wirtz or Cunha really to fund Gabriel. I think I would sell Wirtz or Cunha, and I would get Rice and I would get Gabriel for O'Reilly, whichever one lets you afford that transfer. I think that's probably what I'll end up doing. Okay, so last question is from Steer. Start one of KDH Group VVT. I would probably start. I'll probably start KDH, I think. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of this week's discussion. Thank you very much for joining in. Best of luck for the game week. I hope you return to the stream next week with green arrows.